is a lot of concern and even fear when it comes to AI and what that's going to do to their jobs.
It's definitely coming after the white collar job. Banks could use it to write up reports, to identify fraud, to write up the fraud, to submit the fraud. I just eliminated three departments for you. Those junior roles, those entry level roles, they're shrinking.
What would be your number one advice for them?
Education, learning, and upskilling. You need to be able to adapt.
Welcome back to the podcast, my friends. Today, I have a very special guest with us, Alina Rivilis. And she is someone I really, really wanted to bring on this podcast because her expertise is data, machine learning, and AI. And she has over 25 years of experience in the space. And I really wanted to have a conversation with her around what's going on with AI, how it's disrupting the market, the corporate world. We talked about the future of workforce, how to stay ahead. And Alina is currently a director of data science and AI at Home Trust Company, which is Fairstone Bank of Canada, and is also part-time faculty at Northeastern University. She is a finalist for the 2025 Women in AI Awards, and she's passionate advocate for ethical and responsible AI, youth empowerment, and inclusive innovation. She is also the CEO and co founder of AI Future Leaders, where her goal is to deliver AI education that blends technology, leadership, and creativity. In this conversation, Alina sheds some light on what's actually going on behind the scenes when it comes to AI and big organizations. She talks to us about the market and hiring and how employers are looking at hiring at different levels and what they're looking for and what you can do to stay ahead. Now, the quality of the sound in this episode may not be the same as what you might be used to, but stay with us. It's a really, really powerful episode, and I can't wait to hear your feedback. Let's dive into it. Alina, hello, hello. I am so happy to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna.
I am so excited to have this conversation with you today. We're going to dive into AI in the workforce, the future of workforce, and all of that fun stuff. So, before we do, I would love to hear a little bit more about your story and how you got to where you are today.
So I actually started many, many years ago in sciences. I wanted to be a scientist. And, I was thinking, I'm going to study science. I'm going to become the famous scientist. But, I was actually more excited about mathematics and statistics. That usually was my subject. And I went into mathematics and statistics, got my degrees in that field. And later I also realized you need to apply it. You need to apply it to business. So I got an MBA as well. And 20, 25 years later, across different industries, I worked in the healthcare industry for about 7 years. Um, I acted as the head of, actually, I was the head for organ donation transplant for the province of Ontario for a couple of years in it. And I still enjoy being in healthcare and science and then I got into the industry, so financial and retail. So I have been at this for over 20 years now, across financial, working at different banks, consulting, and currently I'm the director of data science and AI at Home Trust Company. We are a bank. Recently, we actually merged with Fairstone Bank of Canada, and I lead a very bright team of data scientists, AI engineers, and we do lots of interesting in-house applications with AI.
All right. Fascinating journey. Thank you so much for walking us through it. I am curious to hear what drove you to AI because as I'm sure you know, it's been a hot topic all of a sudden in the last couple of years. But you and I were chatting before we went live, and you were saying that hey, it's actually been there for a long time.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that.
Yeah, it's not something that's new. I think it's new because it's all over the news now and everybody knows about it. But it's definitely not new. I have been um, building predictive models for many years, leveraging natural language processing and leveraging neural networks, for example. We had it back in the 90s. We just didn't have all the compute. We didn't have all the data. Imagine all the data from the internet, right? To train these powerful models, these powerful large language models that we have got now. And companies like OpenAI, they put AI on the map. They came out with a product, something like ChatGPT, everybody knows, right? And then others came out with Claude and Perplexity, lots of different tools out there. But it's not new. It's just new in the sense that now anybody can interact with AI.
So I'm curious, I guess for you looking back at your journey, what maybe initially drove you to AI? Because what I find interesting now is that because it's so top of mind for everyone and it's, front page in the news, now everyone is starting to think, okay, maybe I need to get into AI and make that
Mhm.
part of my specialty. But I'm curious for you, what was it back then before it was big? What was it that drove you to it?
I I actually had the premonition even 20 years ago that data science AI is going to be a big thing because every company out there has got data. And seeing what was happening with the internet, right? That internet boom, everyone was just going into the internet and thinking, I'll do a business, something to do with the internet. And now everybody is rushing towards, let's do something with AI. And it's a tool. It's an amazing tool to help you. And you can do so much, you can drive so much business value if you know which use cases, what to go after. And I knew back then, even 20, 25 years ago, I knew that every company out there has got either customers or you have a service, a product, and everyone out there has got data. It could be customer going to your store, looking something online. And I realized that with all this data, you can make something out of it. You can analyze it, you can predict behaviors, and we had models even around natural language processing. So going after that unstructured data, that tech data, I could not envision, that we are going to be on this point right now. I didn't know it's going to be a worldwide phenomenon that everyone finally is getting into AI. That was very difficult to predict because no one knew that these types of tools are going to be out there. They're going to be affordable for anybody can use, right? And anyone out there can now just have a conversation. You don't need to be a coder. That's what's changed. You have to be a very strong coder to interact with your data, to interact with the database of information. But now you can have a conversation, and that's a big game changer.
Mm. That's very, very interesting because I think a lot of people don't realize that it has been decades in the making and it has been there. We just all of a sudden everyone got immediate, almost free access to it. And with that, as you can imagine, for a lot of corporate professionals, now there is a lot of concern and even fear when it comes to AI and what that's going to do to their jobs and to the future of how we work. And of course, we all understand that how we work will change. But I think it comes with a lot of fear around, well, will what I do even exist? Because we are starting to see AI replace big, let's say, commercials that took, in the past a couple of months to make.
Yeah.
a couple of $100,000 and a team of 30 people, and now it's costs under $1,000 and it takes less than a day, and it's a completely different
Yeah.
ball game. Um, I'm just curious what your thoughts on that are when it comes to the future of just overall what we're used to when we think about corporate world.
hmm It's definitely coming after the white collar job. So when the industrial revolution came, it was going after the blue collar. We had machines automating things. People were saying, well, I have my horse. It's good for carrying things and getting me from point A to point B. Suddenly you have the car. Suddenly you have those factories. And now we have that AI. And AI is directly going after those white collar jobs. Anything that had to do with information and knowledge based type tasks, it's very good at. It's extremely good at summarizing the data. It's great at writing reports, and it's amazing at creating content from commercials. We can use it to create reports for, let's say, banks could use it to write up reports, to identify fraud, to write up the fraud, to submit the fraud. I just eliminated three departments for you. You still need some humans to oversee, but it definitely can plug into many many areas of the way we do things. Uh, any company out there most likely have got paperwork, right? I'm sure you have got paperwork. To automate that with AI, it's completely possible now. Document intelligence and processing with AI. You have got AI getting the document, doing maybe optical character recognition on it, extracting that data, placing it into maybe a database. Another AI, and there's a big thing now with agentic flows and agentic AI. You could have an agent now do some sort of action based on this. So this first step could be extracting the data, identifying, classifying, tagging, attaching it to maybe other sources of data, and taking some sort of action on it. So imagine processing credit card applications, mortgage applications, but at scale with the help of AI. It's not necessarily going to replace those entire departments, but it's for sure going to reduce the number of employees and those tasks. So anything that's um, high frequency, anything that routine, and anything that involves summarizing, writing, extracting, transferring from point A to point B, or AI is extremely good at that. And guess what? You don't have to pay the benefits. It's not going to ask for a lunch and doesn't have to sleep at night. So it's definitely going to change the way everyone works and functions. And what's happening now in the industry, those junior roles, those entry level roles, they're shrinking. We don't see that many out there because, yes, AI is very good at those types of things. You still need those experts, yes. You need those that are mid and late career who understand the business quite well, but it's gotten much more difficult for those new grads to get into the workforce.
Yeah, this is very fascinating because I can see how now if you're entering the workforce, a lot of those tasks that you used to do in the beginning of your career were all the things that we're now talking about AI doing that are repetitive, that are more task focused rather than strategy and big picture. So, with that, I guess two questions here. So, maybe we can talk about what that means for more seasoned professionals and what that also means for newer people getting into the workforce. So, would love to hear what you are seeing on the senior level, mid to senior career level, and how you see them being affected in the next let's say. And again, I completely understand that it's really hard to predict because things are shaping and changing
Yeah.
so quickly, and there's so much we don't know in terms of what's probably even possible. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts, what that would look like for those seasoned professionals in the next, I was going to say decade, but let's just say the next 5 years.
So that's definitely changing. Things are changing for executives. It's changing for everyone, even kids. They're interacting with technology. But if you're in the corporate world, you are definitely going to be seeing AI. You might be the one even driving those revolutions. AI is now top of mind for almost every single exec. If you see their scorecards for this year, any company out there, any executive out there, everybody is now buzzing with this AI. Let's find value with AI. Let's find efficiency with AI. And yes, it means hours saved. It also means FTE saved. And that means your job is going to be changing. The type of roles are going to be changing. AI is definitely taking over many jobs and many tasks, but it potentially is also creating other ones. So you now need individuals to govern the AI, to do the policy side of it, the strategy side of it. So you're still going to need executives to understand where and how, which areas we need to be automating and why to maximize that value and that potential. And that means you need to know the art of the possible. You need to understand where AI could come in and how to maximize the value. What's interesting, there was a recent study, actually, there are several studies now, but Gartner had a study recently saying how something close to 80%, maybe more, of executives are leveraging AI, building use cases with AI. Unfortunately, majority fail with AI. And that's an interesting thing. Yes, everybody is plugging in AI or trying, but it's not always successful. It's not always those right use cases. So I think over the next 5 years, we are going to get better identifying where and how to use the AI for maximum potential. Also, your job might change, and that means education. That means upskilling yourself, understanding where and how you can leverage AI. If you're a company that's that needs to grow sales, for example, you might consider AI helping directly your business, so sales numbers to go up. But interestingly, companies, instead of going after their main product or their main service, they will plug in AI in other areas, such as automating certain areas or some efficiency gains, not always solving those main problems. Or if you are a company that has a problem with churn, attrition, customer attrition, you might leverage AI to solve that problem. But you need to identify the business problem. So it's always going to be the business problem first and leveraging AI second to address that problem.
Mhm. Mhm. So if I am, let's kind of get into the specifics. So I'll give you an example. Something that I hear often, let's say from my clients, is that they of course see the future with AI, and they see how it can disrupt, or how it probably is already disrupting their industry or function. So, for example, I have a client who has background in supply chain and operations, and he mentioned that he would love to get into the area of supply chain and operations that is really now heavily focused on leveraging AI. But what he's struggling with is a couple of things, actually. One is, okay, well, what do I need to learn? How do I upskill? Which is what you mentioned. Where do I even go? Number one. And then number two, I am as you probably know, I'm big on talking to people and getting in front of the right people, both with validating, okay, is this actually what I want to do? And with getting jobs. So when it comes to, let's say, AI, he says, well, I'm not even sure where to go and who to talk to about this industry because it's not that straightforward. And I can imagine five
Mhm.
years from now, there will be different titles and it will be very straightforward. This industry, and this person is specializing maybe in AI, whether it's implementation um, or any
Mhm.
kind of next steps with it. But right now, it's not very clear because there are
Mhm.
no. Well,
Yeah.
I'm guessing new titles are emerging. Let me rephrase that. And right now, it's not always clear where to go and who to talk to. So, two questions for you: if I'm upskilling, if I am that mid to senior professional, where do I go? And who do I talk to? How do I find the right people to learn more about it?
The answer here is also complex, but I also think over the next 5 years, we are going to see a democratization of AI. You're not going to have those AI dedicated, you're still going to have those dedicated experts around AI, but every every expert out there, every domain expert, let's say you're a supply chain or you're manufacturing, you are going to understand enough about the art of the possible with AI to be able to know where it could be plugged in into your business and where to leverage it. And this is going to happen. It has to happen over this next 5 years. And who to talk to? That's a very interesting question. I get this as well. How do I learn what I need to know and where they go? There's an explosion of information. There is free content out there. There is paid content as well. Lots of institutes, even OpenAI, have got free courses. IBM, Microsoft, Databricks. You can go and learn about what AI is, and you can go. It's a very broad topic as well. You can go from the definitions and what it is and how do I use it, prompt engineering, how do I interact with tools such as the ChatGPT, and you have got things like the algorithms, the models, how do I build it. Most likely, if you're someone working in a company like supply chain, you might be an expert in your field. What's important for you is to understand the art of the possible because you're the domain expert. So you should be thinking, not, hey, let's get into AI. You should be thinking, what is my main business opportunity here? It might be leveraging AI to speed up certain processes. It could be with paperwork. It could be with supply chain, maybe rating or ranking providers. You could be plugging it in into multiple areas, right? Uh, you should be thinking what is possible. And there's lots of free courses and content. And I actually founded an AI education company recently because I'm seeing that's a huge gap. So the company is AI Future Leaders. And we have got education as early as grade six. So imagine 10-year-olds, 10-year-olds, because we think that leading with AI is going to have to start early. And kids can learn AI, not just adults. But it's all going to be upskilling and transforming what we do with AI.
Wow, fascinating because I can't even imagine what it's like to be a teacher right now in middle school, high school, because that system definitely has not caught up with how quickly the world and the
Yeah.
technology is changing and what's possible and what we actually need to be learning that early on. So that's really, really cool. I am curious. So from my perspective, when I think about AI and what I think about what AI cannot do,
Mhm.
it's the human aspect. So
Mhm.
the communication and the empathy and leadership and um, EQ. And from kind of what I'm seeing and what I also talk to my clients about is that it's both, upskilling in terms of your case use of AI and your skills with that, but also what AI cannot do, which is all of
Mhm.
those human skills. So I'm actually curious what your thoughts on that are, being a leader and having a team of people and being so close to AI as technology as well.
That's an interesting one because AI can mimic that some of those human qualities and it's becoming very good at it. And it's now hard to tell. Are you actually had a conversation? I don't know if I was speaking to a human or it was an AI because the emotional aspect, there is research now building it into the AI. And what other important thing is AI risks and safety. It's understanding not just the art of the possible, but how do you do this safely? And as humans, you do need to keep that human piece in the loop. We call it human in the loop approach. So when we build AI, and I do build custom AI applications within the company with the team, but we always keep a human in the loop to monitor and oversee AI, not just because of hallucinations and it can make mistakes, but also to bring that human piece. Because AI only knows as much as the data that we provide. It might know the information we have about the transactions. It might have information about the customer. It cannot write a message to the customer saying, "Thank you for the round of golf yesterday." It just doesn't know how to do that. It might be more, generic type of message. If you're using it, for example, for email generation or to help you speed up with tools like Microsoft Copilot, they do that. But it's all built on the historical messages and the data that you have seen. It's not extremely good at being super creative and it is actually quite good at it looks like it's good at inventing things, but it's using historical data and historical pattern to come up with new information and to generate new data, new responses, or new content. So it's all based on that human. It's the human art and the human images, the human text, right? It's the human literature that's now enabling AI to generate that content.
So I know we've talked about a few aspects here when it comes to careers and future and AI. And if you were to summarize it in a couple of sentences, what would be your best piece of advice for someone who is mid to senior career right now
Mhm.
and AI is on their mind no matter what kind of industry or function they're in? What would be your number one advice for them?
My number one advice would be education, learning, and upskilling. The um, the skills that are going to be should I say future proof with AI are the creativity, um, thinking basically creatively, adaptability, and resilience. You need to be able to adapt. You need to be nimble and know that it's not enough. If in the past it was much more clear, you could go to university, study a topic, come out, get a job, and you're in this for 20, 30 years. Now expects changing, changing careers multiple times, changing directions multiple times, adjusting because now we have got AI. Actually, almost half of the code out there is getting written by AI. So, do I want my kids to go and study coding? I don't know, maybe, but it is taking over those jobs and it's taking over many tasks and many routine tasks. So, the number one thing I would say upskilling and learning and adaptability, and you need to be flexible. That that that's all we can
Oh,
say.
I love that, Alina. I really, really like that because I see that often with my clients because when you are at a certain level in your career and you have been successful for a number of years, if you are met with any sort of challenge where you're struggling where you're struggling to either figure out your next step or to get into that next step, often there's a lot of disappointment there that, hey, like I'm so good. I've done so much already. It shouldn't be this
Mhm,
hard. But this is such a good point that now with AI, it's probably always going to be learning and changing and adapting and not straightforward path. So it's something that all of us really need to keep in mind that probably moving forward, it is going to be different and
mhm.
probably more challenging than before. And
Yeah.
I think about that with the job market overall often because I'm sure you've heard a lot of conversation over the last 3 years or so that the job market is really bad. And I don't think it's bad. I think it's the new norm. Because as you mentioned, a lot of the entry level roles are being taken over by AI and or are shifting. A lot
Mhm,
of the mid to senior roles are shifting as well, and
mhm,
how we work is shifting. So I see that as a new reality. So we need to learn how to now function
mhm,
in this new reality and just expecting that it will be different and we need to continue to learn and be adaptable. So thank you so much for sharing that. Um, Another question I have for you, is there a cool AI tool that you are using that maybe not a lot of people are aware of? Or maybe is there a cool, fun way that you are using AI in your whether it's work or daily life that you're like, you know what, more people should know this and use
mhm.
this?
In my daily life, I actually got into something that is known as vibe coding.
Mm.
Essentially, you're vibing with AI. You're not. I know how to code, but this approach is you're actually using human language to interact with AI, and you provide instructions just like you would talk to someone, um, and you can create a lot of interesting applications, and there's lots of amazing tools out there, such as Replit and Lovable. I love those tools, and I just come up with an idea on the weekend, and it's so much fun to see how quickly you can stand up a little prototype and get something going. Another one is building agents. I just built myself a little agent, a couple agents actually, a couple of weeks ago, just to automate a couple of tasks. I like researching. I love researching, and I also teach. And for me to write and create content, I do need to research the topic, which tends to be AI. So I created a custom dedicated agent to go and research all the information out there. And I created another agent to validate the first guy to make sure there is no mistakes. And yeah, it helps me actually generate lectures, content, assessments, and then as an expert, I actually know that you need to validate what AI is doing. So I would take that material, but it does speed up my research, and I use it in addition to myself conducting the research. But it does speed up things quite a bit for me.
I love that, and we'll make sure to link those tools that you've mentioned in the show notes. All right, and if any of our listeners wanted to connect with you or learn more about what you do, where can they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also look at the company that I founded, aifutureleaders.com. You can send us a message at info@aifutureleaders.com. And you can just find me on LinkedIn, Alina Rivilis. You can see that I love the topic of AI. I love speaking on this topic and researching it.
Love that. All right. Well, Elena, thank you so much for coming on this show. This was very interesting conversation for me to have and to hear what you're seeing in the corporate world right now with AI taking over and talking about the future of the workforce. And I definitely learned a lot. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.